Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about why you should not design your resume in Figma. It's a shocker, I know, but don't worry, I'm going to explain everything. So let's get into it. All right, so if you're anything like me, you may very well have spent a good portion of time in Figma creating a beautiful resume, perfect spacing, pristine typography, nice colors. Everything looks just right. You are super excited that you've made this and it looks very sexy and sleek and awesome, and it really reflects your design sense very well. This is amazing and this is wonderful, but I learned recently that when you export a PDF from Figma, it actually does not come attached with the proper metadata that an ATS or applicant tracking system needs in order to properly read it. The metadata is not there to inform the ATS that certain characters represent certain letters. So what it does is it takes your text and it actually turns it into what are called outlines. And so when you go to a job board or you go to a job post and you have that little option to upload your resume, if you select a PDF that you've created in Figma and you go and you send it off as part of your application, the ATS system basically has no way of actually reading the text that was in that document. Rather than being read by a system as text, your resume is actually being read as a bunch of different shapes. And ATS systems are not trained to make sense of shapes, so it can't make sense of what it's trying to read. And so I would recommend that you stop using the Figma version to actually be what you select to upload when you're applying for jobs through a job board or the company's website. Anything that requires a file upload to go along with your application, you do not want to use the Figma version for that. And it very much behooves you to just go ahead and make your resume in either Google Docs or Microsoft Word or something similar, because you want the ATS system to scan it and decide that you have enough keywords to inform an actual human being at that company that you may be a good candidate for the job. Now, I understand the designer in all of us kind of hurts and cringes a little bit because we can make our designs and our resumes so pretty in Figma, but then when you get to an actual word processor, you are a lot more confined. There are a lot more constraints in place as to what you can do and how sexy you can make it. But the one thing, the vitally important thing that tried and true word processors have going over Figma is that when you export your PDF from them, they do in fact come with the correct metadata attached. So when you go and upload either your document file or your PDF file, that file is going to be perfectly readable to an ATS system. And you may actually get some hits against your keywords as opposed to the Figma version instead. You may be asking yourself, well, if I already have a resume that I created in Figma and I really love it, do I have to get rid of it and do I have to stop using it? And the answer to this is technically no. And I'm going to explain why. If you've already got a resume that you created in Figma that you are super stoked about, super happy with, and it looks really nice, you can keep using your current Figma version for a number of things if you really, really want to. So what you could do is, let's say you are chatting it up with a recruiter on LinkedIn, or let's say on your portfolio website, you have a link to access your resume. Those are two instances where your resume is not going to be needing to go through an ATS system first, as it's actually just going to end up in front of another person already. So you no longer kind of have that ATS requirement in place that you need to bypass using the word processor version. And instead, you can use your nice Figma version because you're simply just sending it to another person, or if it's hosted on your website or your portfolio, then it's simply just there for someone to access should they happen to click on it. So for those instances, you can use your beautiful Figma version because the metadata and the fact that the text has turned into shapes on the back end really doesn't matter anymore. You're just sending it straight to a person to go ahead and read and see. Now, if you do choose to use both a Figma version and a word processor version, I do have to caution you that you are going to need to maintain two separate copies of your resume at that point. So let's say you get a new job or you just want to even just change some details. You are going to need to make those adjustments on both the word processor version of your resume and on the Figma version. So that may become a little bit of a handful for some people. You may not be interested in kind of doing double the upkeep or double the maintenance. So just keep that in mind. But also do keep in mind that if you really do want to keep that Figma version, then you certainly can. You'll just need to be cognizant of what we just touched on. I really hope that this saved you some time and potentially some frustration. If perhaps you've been using a Figma PDF as your resume and you haven't received any word back to any of the applications that you've submitted, I cannot say for sure that this was part of the issue, but it may very well have been at least some of the issue, simply because, as we've discussed, the ATS may not have been able to make any sense of the resume, no matter how pretty it might have looked. Now, there are dozens of articles across the internet that you can find explaining how Figma does not export properly to PDF in order to be read by an ATS. If you'd like, you can go and read into it a little bit more. It definitely explains a little bit more of the actual technical aspect. All right, that's it for this video. Please feel free to like and subscribe and adjust your notification settings to be notified of all future videos. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Hey, thanks so much for checking out this video. If you are an early career designer in need of some career advice, perhaps some resume guidance, or some portfolio feedback, maybe all of the above, I offer one-on-one mentoring services, and I would absolutely love to meet you and help you out however I can. So check out the link in the description for more info.